Welcome to the Multifamily Zone, where business meets family. We explore what the entrepreneur life looks like from the family perspective. Now here are your hosts, Julia and Gino Barbaro.
Hey everybody, this is Julia Barbaro, host of the Multifamily Zone podcast. I am here with the co-founder of Jake and Gino, my husband, and the co-host, Gino Barbaro. Hey Gino.
Julia, how you doing, Jill?
I'm good. We have great guests today. I'm kind of excited.
Today's guests, I've known this gentleman, Jason, for a long time. It's been a few years. Jason and Pili are real estate entrepreneurs, mentors, and podcasters. They live in New Jersey and have 3 lovely children, Luke, Lily, and Leo. Jason and Pili are hosts of the Real Estate Foundation podcast, a platform serving to help real estate investors take massive action through learning from the steps and missteps many industry pros have taken along the way. While not podcasting, URC Holdings focuses on a large multifamily assets in the Midwest and Southeast, currently hovering at 25 doors. Guys, welcome to the show.
So happy to have you.
Good. It was probably my misprint. We're actually at 425 now, so we're moving up there in the ranks. So.
That's awesome.
So honored to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little about your personal self. How long you've been married? Gino said you have 3 kids. You're working together. Tell us all about it.
So Pili and I took the traditional route, right? So
We've actually known each other since 2003. We bartended and managed a restaurant together forever. Yeah. And then speed up too.
Yeah, it took me a long time, so I was in New York City. Pili moved back to LA, back to New York, back to Hawaii, back to New York. So it took her a little ways to look my way, but 13 years later, after all these years of actually knowing each other, we finally found what's right and got together. And from there, awesome. Married a few years ago. We have of course, a 5, a 3, and a 1-year-old now, and we're here in New Jersey, and life is great.
Life is amazing.
That is awesome. So now you're working together real estate. Is that right? Okay. So tell me about that, because a lot of people I'm sure ask you, how do you work together as a couple? Because you're living together and all. And when you get into a challenge, how do you handle it? I can't ever work with my spouse. So tell me about the challenges that you face and how you overcome them, and kind of how do you balance it?
Fortunately, unfortunately, Jason and I have a special story because we started working together. Mm-hmm. We don't know what it's like not to work together. Mm-hmm. We started managing a bar together, and trust me, we used to butt heads back then. I think our boss would particularly make us butt heads.
It was pretty hectic. 20,000 people would come on a Saturday, so it was pretty outrageous kind of place. And I think we've always had the temperament where there's always bigger problems out there. So if there's something that's happening with us, we'll just take a moment and just say what's up and not let it go any further. And it's all about communication. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We really learned how to communicate over the years of knowing each other as coworkers, as really amazing friends, and just knowing each other throughout the years, but always having kind of that foundation of communication no matter where we were in our life. Mm-hmm. And then once we actually really found each other and got together and got married, we kept that open. So anytime something's wrong, anytime something's right, just like you talk about it and you make sure it's out there, it's open. And it's really, I know everyone says this, but I don't think everyone really practices it.
Right.
Practice communicating with each other, because that's the only way that you're going to get anywhere, especially if you're working together.
Sure. And then also in a sense, you practice communication even in the relationship itself, because I feel like, a lot of people do ask that question, but if you're not going to be able to work together, I think the communication is an issue, so we should be able to be working together because we're working on life together. So just taking it into the real estate world should be the same.
So give us some tips on spouses if they're going to start working together. My wife and I, she started working in the restaurant with me from the very beginning. When I met her, she was already working there. And then it was just for us, it was just a natural progression. How do spouses, what's the next step for them to start working together if they haven't? One's corporate, one's doing another job, and let's say they want to get together and start doing real estate. What advice would you give them?
I think it's clear expectations, right? So it sounds great. Okay, let me work my spouse, or even like working with a friend, right? It always sounds great on paper, but if there's not clear expectations from the start, well, that just sets up for disappointment. Because then ultimately, maybe you're both having different directions of where you want to go. You want to do this business, but one has a profit in mind, while the other one has a quality in life in mind. And if you're not having that talk and having that talk track throughout, it basically sets you up for an explosion. Plus, when you are working together, well, as you know, that can become your life, right? You can work, you never leave.
Right.
So you go home, there's work, you stay here, there's work, there's always work around. And if you don't step back and have those moments that made your relationship special and have moments to check in, it starts to muddy the waters of work and life. And then I think that would really take down the quality of life.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Jason was saying, definitely when you figure out, for all the spouses out there, if you figure out that you want to get into, if you want to start working together, especially in real estate, like Jason said, make a plan. Like, make a plan of action. The plan is chances are the plan will change.
Yeah, it's going to pivot.
Right, sure.
It's going to pivot. It will change.
Sure.
And be prepared for that. Don't just get set in that plan. And that's where the communication comes into. And then exactly what Jason just said, remember why you got together, why you're you, and why your relationship is so special. And remember that, and remember to check in with each other on, you know what, you should be checking on a daily, if not like a times a day basis. But even if you don't, like, make sure you check in, and make sure you check in on, like, even if it's like, hi baby, how are you doing? And really listen.
Yeah.
Great. Do that. If you can get like an hour together a day, great, do that. If you can get like nights a week that you can go on a date night where it's just both of you, and where you try not to talk business.
Right.
You will.
But if it's exciting, it's hard not to.
Exactly.
And that's okay. I feel like that's okay in that situation, right? If you're both excited about it.
I think the few things that you've said, I'm gonna I guess summarize them, because it's really about building the relationship too. So when you get married, I think a lot of divorce happens because there's no clear expectation, because one of the spouses wants to get a bigger house, another spouse wants to simplify. So have clear expectations, I think, when you decide to get married, so at least you're both on the same path. And it's okay to have different expectations, but try to work towards something. That's really important. I think the next thing is you better enjoy what you're doing, because if you don't enjoy your job and you're both working at it, you're both going to be miserable. That's not a recipe for success. That's really a problem. And I think what you said about having a vision is important. I think Jeff Bezos said it. The vision should never change. The course you're getting there is going to change. Like, for instance, Jason has got a great business. I didn't even get into it. He lifts houses, right? So his vision, I think, is to become financially free. I don't want to put words in his mouth, or have passive income. That's not the business. So maybe he'll pivot to that, and he went into multifamily. So that's his new course, but the vision is always there. So have a great vision, have a great plan, work at it between the spouses, and share that vision. And then there's always deviations. Starting a podcast, I bet you 3 years ago, you never would have thought starting a podcast, but that's just another course, right? To get investors and do all that. And that just bounces into my mind. Why did you guys start the podcast? What was the reason behind it? For starting
it's funny, we didn't even know what a podcast was. So I think, that's probably the point, and just to recap, when you said, I actually listened to something the other day, and it hits home, right? So we always have these goals and these results, and we focus on the goal and the result, and that's where all the focus comes, and we think that's where the happiness is. But then, you spend all the time working on getting there. And so if you got there with that point, you'd probably be let down, because that's been all your focus. And if you're not spending your time being happy on what you're doing, well, then ultimately the result is going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
And for us, we had someone who suggested start a podcast, and we really didn't know. There was no expectation, minus that we've had a lot of people like yourself just say, here, I have some advice for you. I have some guidance for you. It's just such an open community in the real estate community that people are just willing to help with nothing coming back, right? So you have a question, there's 50 people that will give you an answer or try and help you along the path. And when you can start a platform where you can talk to other people that have done it successfully, and just follow what they're doing, follow the steps you're doing, and just give that back, it ultimately creates, I think we've created a lot of friends, created a lot of relationships, hopefully help people. You go to events and you meet people and they've gotten something from the podcast. It's amazing.
And honestly, I feel like I've learned so much from being and having this podcast and getting to talk basically one-on-one with people, basically masterminding with the top minds in real estate because I have a podcast. And that's like, I know that's kind of not selfish, but self-fulfilling. But I mean, you get to talk to these people one-on-one where normally we wouldn't be able to get to sit down and talk. Right now we have to. We're here on this podcast. We get to talk to each other. You get to pick each other's minds, and it's an amazing platform to have.
Yeah, if someone's looking to get started, the two things out there that you should do if you don't even have general experience, start a podcast. And there's no better time to get started now. You're not going to be good at it. That's just the bottom line. You're going to go be out there and be, Howard Costello like day one and being, but you start that and you start making connections and giving yourself branding, and then start a meetup. We have a meetup that has 2,000 people now. And, whether we're the person who knows more or less, we bring in great guests who talk about things, and it gives us another step as a branding effort, because it starts creating you as a thought leader, because you're starting to grow this great network around you. So 2 steps today, start a podcast, start a meetup, and just start talking to people, and you'll find it really carries a lot of weight to it.
And I think to piggyback off of that, with your podcast, you have a specific reason why you're doing a specific niche. I think people, if they are going to start a podcast, start about thinking about one that you enjoy to do. Because we have 4 now with the Jake and Gino community. We have the multifamily zone, which my wife and I do. We started that because we love it. I mean, I once a week I get to sit down with her. We talk about family. We try to bring in the family into the real estate business and the spouses. Then we have a Rand Partners one, which is all about syndication. Then we have the Wheelbarrow Profits one, which is more high level multifamily. And then we have the Movers and Shakers podcast, which highlights our students closing deals. So when you're out there and you're starting a podcast, think about what you'd like to talk about and who you'd like to talk to. I love to talk to you guys. I mean, this is great. I mean, I could spend all day doing this, right? Because, and that's part of the fulfillment. That's part of what, like you said, you better enjoy it. So when we get off this, we're going to have lunch together. We're going to talk about the podcast. And it was an enjoyable hour. So if you're dreading doing it, then don't do podcasts. If you love to write articles, write articles. If you don't like doing meetups, you got to do meetups, because I'm an introvert. I think Jace is probably an ambivert. He's probably not out there partying and ripping away.
I've heard that term now, but you're right. I'm in the middle. Like I'll do it if I have to, but I prefer not to.
Yeah, but so get out there and
really
do
good at it.
Yes.
I'm good at forced talking.
Yes.
That's right. But you like it if it's helping other people. Is that right?
That's simple. If you're able to give a purpose that has meaning to it, it's definitely worthwhile.
Exactly. And that's what the podcast, the same with us. I mean, I wouldn't do it for myself, if it's going to help one couple out there, then I'll do it.
You should have seen a look on her face when I told her we're doing a podcast. That was priceless, man. That was worth doing 10 shows right there. She's like, what are you doing?
That's probably the same look I had when Jason told me we were going to do the podcast. I was like,
I think we talked about it. I think we might have talked about it a while ago, a couple of years ago.
I think so.
That's awesome. So tell me, do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say just to another thought on being a couple. Make sure you communicate on your failures as well. Like don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to try things, because I am not the person in our relationship that goes, why don't we try this?
Okay. Yes.
I'm not that person.
Okay.
And I've had to learn to not automatically go there in my head and be scared and be afraid. And I know that my mindset goes there. So I know myself. I know that about myself.
Okay.
And I know that I need to keep an open mind. Anytime Jason says that he wants to go into and get a donut restaurant, I need to have a bigger open mind and say, yes, let's try it.
Okay.
So
she actually said focus. Yeah.
I did say focus.
Which is the key right now. She's been tracking me into staying within our lane, which has been really the growth of what we're doing.
Yeah, sure. So when you do get that fear, how do you just come out of it? You just go and say, we're going to just try it anyway?
I need to breathe through it, really. For instance, this is years back. I had actually brought to our table our first 2 small multifamily deals out of state. Investor contacted me. He said he had this one duplex, and I got the numbers, showed it to Jason, and it ended up being a good deal. And so we bought another one, and the ROI was fantastic. So a few months later, Jason and I are probably sitting down at our computers, and Jason's like, I've been reading up on this thing called large multifamily. Do you know we can take down like hundreds of units? Yeah, like 500 units if we wanted to. I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm like wiggling my ears. I'm like, what do you want to do now? But that was my fear speaking.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That was my fear speaking. So I had to learn with Jason and see that it was possible and expand my mindset. And I know there's a lot of listeners out there that are listening to this and are saying to themselves, well, I really kind of want to get into it, but it just seems so daunting and so big. And just jump in, read a book, listen. I mean, you're already taking your first step. You're listening to this podcast. You've probably listened to a ton of other podcasts.
Exactly.
So from here, contact us, contact Gino. And I'm speaking directly to your audience right now. Contact somebody and get more information. Get yourself out of that mindset that's preventing you from doing things and jump out of it.
That's great.
Have a mind shift.
That's excellent. So I wanted to ask you, because I know your kids are small, but it's always so fun to include them in the business. So have you done that, or if you haven't, what's your plan of the future to help?
So they're on the first podcast cover. So we've had a transition as we've had now more kids, but they've come to our project. They walk around. They notice, is that mommy and daddy's house? Like another house we were working on. We were flipping homes, and they're part of our. Like we're doing this thing called 75 Hard right now, and if you don't know what it is, it's Andy Frisella, this guy who's a big supplement guy, has this challenge, 75 days of doing drink a gallon of water, eat clean, no drinking, 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each, one being outside, and read 10 pages of an actual book. And it was our big, I think our big holdback was, well, how are we going to do this with the kids? How are we going to do this with the kids? And it just came down to it. We're just going to do it.
And we're going to do it with the kids.
With the kids. Yes. And so if it takes me having to run with, a double stroller 4 times a week, we do it. And if it takes it, but it's like the same thing with business. If you're want to do your own business and you're going to use your kids at a point, think about how much greater it's going to be for your kids if they see you commit and actually tackle a task and just say that you said you're going to do something and now you're doing it. What does that say for your kids? Well, when we commit to something, we go through and we follow through. We don't commit to something and then ultimately just say, oh, it seems a little tough, so maybe we won't do it. And then they're set up for life that every time it seems hard, they don't do it because, it seems hard. Instead of just getting in there and just saying, all right, we're going to do it. Now let's do it and let's get it done.
I like that. So 75 days, huh? How many days into are you?
20, today's the 24th day.
24, 25. Yeah, 24.
4.
Yeah.
24th.
So what was the epiphany? Why did you want to do this?
Commitment. I think it came to the point here where we're working. The focus is the big thing that we need to continue to work on. I mean, you spoke about it. We have the construction company, I have the real estate. There's ultimately so much going on. You throw the kids' activity in there. And if you want to say you don't have time, well, then, look at people like Oprah or like The Rock, who's like got like 19 movies going on and like, traveling around the world and doing all this stuff. Well, they're getting it done. And regardless if they help or not, like I can commit to doing these tasks, and I commit to same thing with doing this with Pili. And so I'm not going to let her down. And we've told the kids we're doing it, even if they understand it or not. So it's the commitment. Plus I like working out. So that throws it in there too.
Well, and I kept on, after our last child, I kept on saying, okay, I'm going to get more fit. I'm going to get more fit. And I would always use the kids as an excuse. I mean, yes, there's sometimes, the kids are sick and blah, 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 yakety schmacky. But I was always using them as an excuse not to like go to CrossFit, not to do yoga in the morning, not to wake up and take on my day. And I kind of got sick of using my kids as an excuse.
Right.
Because that's the easy way out. So when Jason presented this to me, I was just like, this actually sounds amazing. I don't know how we're going to get it done. But like he said, we committed to each other to do this together. So if one of us fails, it's like we're letting the other person down. We don't want to do that.
And you can carry this over, right? So like we were like, maybe we'll start in a week, and then it was like, no, we're starting tomorrow. Let's just go, because it's not, a week's not going to help us. Like, there's no magic pill that's going to happen.
Prepare for
that's
it,
the same thing. Like if you want to go after multifamily, like I don't know, calling a broker in a week, like if you're waiting to just get on the phone.
Right.
So the big word there is accountability. So that's why I like partners, because and definitely with a relationship, you're having an accountability partner. So and it's the same thing with having a partner in real estate, where if you're going to call the broker tomorrow and I tell Jake I'm calling him tomorrow and I don't call him tomorrow, I'm letting Jake's family down. Jake's eating for me. So that's if you need the motivation, you're not self-motivated person, you need to find somebody to latch on to. You need to join a mastermind group. You need to join a monthly meeting where people will help you push you for that. I want you guys to, everyone listening, there's a gentleman named Rick Sapio. If you Google his name, he's got a couple YouTube videos out there. And one of the things that he talks about is simplification. And he's got 4 children. He's a very successful man. He's in private equity. And what he talks about, everyone is so stretched out. They're doing so many different things, and they really don't have to simplify your life. You don't need 7 cars. You don't need 3 vacation homes. You don't need 17 activities for your children. If you can really start simplifying things, I mean, as far as, I don't think he even has pets because he doesn't want to have that other burden, right? So he's got 4 kids and he's got pets and he's got, multiple cars. He's really simplified his life. So if you're really overwhelmed, take a look at your life and create the goals. My next question, pivoting into it, would be goals. How do you set goals for your family? How do you set goals for going forward? But I think the first thing is simplify. And then Jason, that 75-day challenge will be a lot easier for you if you have a lot of that stuff that's already simplified. You're not worried about, you have 3 cars, you've got to take them in, you've got to take care of them. It's just, if you can really simplify your life, it'll make you a lot happier, I think. How do you guys set goals?
Yeah, well, the 2 things we do to simplify, we pretty much eat pretty standard every day, except usually like one day in the weekends, we just eat the same thing. So we don't have to think about it. There's no big process. And then
chicken.
Yeah. And then I wear pretty much a similar outfit every day. So I don't have to get out there and think about something. It's done. Now I don't have to spend that 10, 20 minutes on that. And the same thing, there's no 30-minute conversation for dinner at night. But the goals, they're always expanding, right? So you have goals that we put out there, but as you progress to it, either you just, the goal is not exact enough, so you need to make it more refined, or you need to really stretch the goal because the goal wasn't big enough to start with, right? And as you learn, you may say, we'll go back to multifamily. I want to take down a 10-unit building, and you get a month in, and you say, well, man, I could just do this with 100 units. It's easier. I mean, there's less restriction for me, and there's the financing's easier, the economies of scale are easier, everything just gets easier. So if I'm going to do the same work for a 10 unit, well, why do it for a 100 unit? And then the guy at 100 units saying, well, if I'm doing this for a 100 unit, well, it's the same work for me to do it with a 100 unit that it is for, a 300 unit building. It's like the same thing with restaurants, right? If you have a 50 unit restaurant or a 100 unit restaurant or a 100 seat restaurant, you're basically doing the same work. It's like everything's just the same. It's just the process is there. So if you can have the network and the framework to do the process, then why not try and expand it?
So at the beginning of this year, Jason and I kind of had an epiphany. Well, it was like a slow, like hammering over our head that we finally decided to kind of just like zone in on. We're really good at a lot of stuff. We love those shiny objects. And I say we, but I mean him. Yeah. We love those shiny objects, this guy. So we sat down and I was like, we've tried a lot of things. We're flipping, we're wholesaling, we have large multifamily, Jason, Airbnbs, rentals. And then that's only talking about real estate. We have other businesses too. So what we did was we decided to focus. That was it. We needed to focus, and we chose multifamily. So we dismantled our flipping business. We dismantled our wholesaling business. I stopped marketing in January. Cold turkey, nada, never again. And that has propelled us and allowed us to have a much healthier business. So our family business is the house flipping, the house raising business. That's there, that's staying because that's our family business. But everything else, we could simplify. We didn't need to flip homes anymore. That was a job we didn't need. We didn't need to wholesale homes anymore. That was definitely a job we didn't need. Multifamily was definitely our focus, and definitely we knew that's where we needed to be.
Yeah, and you guys have done an awesome job of this, right? So instead of just setting up like day one and you're out there doing, the equity and the financing and doing all these different components, you guys got in there with the multifamily, figured it out, put the property management company and figured it out, got real deep with the process. So you're really in there and then now you're expanding to other parts that now assist your business, where a lot of times we'll set up multiple things because we think we have this widespread widespread of many businesses, it's actually helping us get to a goal, whatever that goal may be, but it's really hurting you because you're not focused on any one goal. So everything's really detracting from you. So if you actually went deep in the beginning on just one of them, it would give you more reach and more ability to have that control, because then you could use other business to assist the business that's really pushing you forward.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Gino, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. I know that you've been hard at work helping Jake and Gino students do just that using our framework. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
Guys, we've been hard at work growing our community of like-minded investors, and the results of our members has been nothing short of incredible. We're looking to grow this amazing group. What we're looking for is those who want to follow our proprietary framework that we've created. Buy right, manage right, and finance right. Leverage our connections, education, and mentorship as ways to take your business to the next level.
So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become a part of our amazing community, apply to work with us at jakeandgino.com/apply.
Now, I got to get back from that last thought that you had. I wanted to get into the donut shop, because if you're opening up a donut shop, dude, I'm going to come over there and strangle you. So I'm just to let you know on that, because first of all, 75-day challenge, you're done, bro. I mean, you're going to be going to the donut shop every day, checking out the inventory. First of all, what's up with running out of donuts at 12:30? Over here, they open up a donut shop. By 12:30, they run out of donuts. I mean, make the donuts and throw some out if you don't have any. But what you're talking about really is follow one course until successful. That's what focus means. And I think when we're younger and we're out there and we're trying to do multiple things, we can. But I don't think if you don't own one industry, and that's why I like the restaurant. I was really good at it. I didn't know systems or scaling. I ran it as a job, not as a business. And what Jason is referring to is, we call it multifaceted. So you look at a wheel. Think of the wheel. The investment property is the actual business. Now we're going to get into business, Julia. The family's going to deviate for 30 seconds.
Right.
But this is a really important topic, because I think people have to understand this. And this can happen in any business. So the business starts with the investment property. Jason's got a 92-unit multifamily property. From there, he can create a property management company to manage that property. That's one stream of revenue. So he's going deep. He's not going wide, he's going deep. From there, he creates an education company, which he does training videos, he does YouTube videos, he does live events, he does meetups, he does podcasts. So he's monetizing from that aspect. That's the second one. The third one is he can do a syndication company where he's raising capital, and he's got an asset management company where he's getting investors to start syndicating larger deals. So he's getting acquisition fees. So you've got 3 layers of revenue coming from one little stupid investment. And by the way, we just started doing mortgages for our students and all. So that's another layer. That's a 4th business out of 1. So I'll give you an example. The restaurant, our restaurant company, we had a little restaurant. I was doing YouTube videos and I was doing training videos for kids and who we were growing vegetables in the garden and showing families how to eat in front. So I was creating that brand. It was called Gino's Family. I was selling physical products, cutlery and vertical garden bags that I was sourcing from China. I wrote a cookbook to teach people. So I was monetizing it that way. From the restaurant, you could do a food truck. From the restaurant, you could do catering, outsource catering. From a restaurant, you can do backyard barbecues, and you can do weddings. And from there, you can do other physical products like jarring sauces and all that. So from that one business, you need to do multiple revenue streams, but it's all complementary to that one business. I don't want you to go carpet cleaning if you have a restaurant business, but hey, a construction company for multifamily is another facet of it. And if people realize that you focus and you get really good at what you're doing, then you can start adding those multiple streams. And you can't do it by yourself. You need partners, you need spouses, because I'm doing education day to day. Jake is doing property management day to day. We hired somebody to do our syndication company day to day, because it's not possible, but we all, and the great thing about it, guys, is it's a symbiotic relationship, because it feeds off it. Because your meetups, you're doing your education, they're your potential investors. They're the people that you're going to be raising money from. And it took me a long time to figure it out. We just stumbled upon it because we started growing this ecosphere, started having these events, and it was enjoyable. I was like, hold on a second, we can do some businesses here. So I didn't mean to go on that long, but I think people sometimes gloss over it. And that focus has really been amazing to me. So it doesn't mean you have to stay in one business. Maybe Jason really likes to go out and talk to people. So maybe he might do the asset management and start raising money. Maybe Pili likes the education and loves doing the podcast and loves writing articles. She can do that aspect of the business. So don't look at it as you're just pigeonholed into one thing. There's so many different ways. And this can be applicable to any industry, even your flipping business. If you like fixing and flipping, do an education part of it, do a hard money part of it, get an insurance person on there, get a broker's license. There's so many ways to monetize that one industry that it's awesome. So I didn't mean to, like I said, go on, but
No,
it's
absolutely
That's a
agree.
great that was a great tangent. I mean, everything you said right there, and it speaks to people's strengths. Like if you're not strong at underwriting, don't do it.
Yes.
If you're strong at writing, then
Right.
write the blogs for your company.
Mhm.
If you're not strong at sourcing deals, don't do it.
Yes.
But if you're good at talking to people, then by all means, talk to people and tell them about what you do.
So let me ask you, Jason, when you started, did you have the I'm a mentality? Because all entrepreneurs go through this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Right. And then when there was a time for you to let go and say, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. Because that was what held me back for so many years at the restaurant. Because I'm like, I have to do everything until I realized that you're not going to be able to scale and grow. And to Pili's point, you might not like that task. So why are you doing that task if you don't have to do that task? When did that hit you?
You know, I got a lot of it at actually running this bar. It sounds crazy, but this bar, we grew it 25 times in sales over the years we were there. It was a crazy place. And that said, we just started having so many people involved in this, and I started to have more and more responsibility. And it just got to the point that I would delegate, but the thing that was always my caveat was that if it wasn't being done quick enough, I would just go do it because I knew I could do it faster and wanted to do it. And that doesn't help you, right? Because if you're really, you're almost taken away from everybody else around you if you're not focusing on your best intention or what you're best at, and you're going to do small things because you're not helping anybody. You're getting a task that's not that important done quicker. Great. It's better than everybody else. It's quicker than everybody else. But ultimately, was that the best use of your time? Was that the best use of you? And is that helping everybody else, be the best of them, right? So maybe that is the best role for somebody else and they're doing it at 80%. Well, if you have no other task from them but they're still useful in that light, well, why not have them do it at 80% so you can have 25? And it's been said so many times, but you have 20 people doing it at 80% or 50%, whatever it comes down to. Well, it's better than you trying to do one of those 20 tasks 100% and the rest just don't get touched.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, is when we were talking about that with the roles, with the two of you working together, obviously you know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So how does that, is there a lot of hurt feelings in a sense of, if Jason's doing something really well and Pili, you're like, it's really, you're not really doing it that well. I can do this. How do you guys, I
think it's super easy because Pili loves to talk to everybody. And I'm kind of like, all right, you can go talk to people. And she just lets me, handle the other side with, I'm the one who task.
Yes.
And Pili, I'd be like, did you check your email this week? And that's kind of the point where
I check it every day.
Yeah,
I do.
She does, but it's
a big deal.
It's that thing, and we let it roll together where, I mean, we're all trying to be our best. We're all trying to be better, but nothing we're doing is like, we're not, I don't know, saving the universe, right? Like I'm not like conquering like the water problem in Africa, it's like, so we're here working together as a family trying to make something better. Yeah. So nothing is that super imperative that it should really create such a dysfunction here that it really is going to create a rift.
Well, it's all about knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's like knowing that I know there are things that Jason just by nature does better than I do. And he knows that there are a multitude of things that I do by nature that he does better than me. And just working towards and for each other's strengths is how you build a strong relationship.
Exactly.
Business on the side.
Yeah.
That's how you build a strong relationship. Communication, just really knowing each other. And if it does get to the point where there's like hurt feelings, or like all of a sudden, like I'm like in the dumps about something that Jason didn't cause that. Right. I caused that for myself. I need to realize that what have I not addressed in me, or what have I not addressed with Jason that is making me feel this way? So, and it comes down to communication. So and like self-knowledge.
Right.
So where do you see you guys in the next 5 years?
Hawaii? Oh, sorry.
We grew up in Hawaii. So,
in the future, I always say Hawaii.
So ultimately, we are going to be set up to be there 3 months a year.
Yes.
And that's the 5-year goal. So 3 months a year. So my family is predominantly all here in New Jersey. My sister who's in Kentucky, so I get to see her when I get to see properties. But Pili's family, almost everyone is in Hawaii. So we try and get there twice a year. But again, with kids, you know, it goes so
Hard.
quick. We want to have that time allowance to do as we perceive.
Mm.
And it continues to just grow our business, that we continue to help as many people as possible out there, because you start having people who you can either help from the side of helping them find what their goal is in life, or helping them have money come back that they don't also have to work from too. Or there's so many things that it makes it a great business to be in multifamily, because there's just so many people you can help, and you make these communities better. People have a better place to live. It just goes endless, right? The ramifications of just buying one property, like you said, you have all those different people, but then you touch on who you're helping beyond just your ultimate business. And it's pretty incredible.
Mm.
5 years.
Wow.
I know I joked about Hawaii, but that's actually really important to me. So one of our major goals is to own property in Hawaii, whether it is a major multifamily building or just a single family home, not just, or our single family home. We're going to purchase it and we're going to live in it for 3 years, and the rest of the time we're going to rent it. So it'll be cash flowing. That's the property that we're looking for. But in order to do that, we need to be in a place where we can work from wherever, work from Hawaii. The kids will be set up that, you know, everything has a space and time, and that time will come within 5 years.
But if you don't plan for that time will never come. That's the problem. And people will be like, yes, someday I'll, as Tony Robbins says, that someday I'll will never come. Be on an island.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
People always say that, right? It's just that they'll do it tomorrow, they'll do it next week, and that never happens. So I started, I heard this Jocko Willis on the Brian Buffini thing, no negotiations about getting up in the morning. So since we've been doing 75 hard, I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and I get up, and you know, some moments I don't want to, I just say no negotiations, and I just get up, and it's just done. And doing that approach has just made things that much simpler. And
the great thing is, when your spouse, when your partner does something amazing, follow in their footsteps. It's like mentors. This is a whole tangent, but if you get a mentor, and you should, if you're at that point in your business, you should have mentors, you should have coaches, but listen to them. Don't hire a coach or a mentor if you're not going to listen to them.
Exactly.
Well, you got to pay for them. That's the thing.
Oh, you have to pay for them.
Yes, because you're not going to listen to a person if you don't have some skin in the game. That's the separating thing. Because my wife can tell you that, because like, you can coach people and she's a great life coach, but if a person doesn't have some kind of skin or equity in the game, they're not really going to take that advice or that. And I've found that to be true. And don't undersell yourself. You're worth more than what you think, everybody out there. That's the other thing. Everyone's like, oh, you are worth it. Everyone's worth it because we all have something to offer, because there are people that are ahead of us, Jason, and there are people that are behind us, Pili. And that's the way it is. And the people that are behind us are looking up to us. And fortunately for us, we can share that. But really, honestly, education is not free. I mean, there's something that you guys have put a lot of time into your business and learn what you're doing, and that's worth something. So I always get it. Well, if you're such a philanthropist, why are you charging for education? Because I know I can give you everything that on a platter, but if you don't really pay for it, you're not going to dive in and do the training videos and get on the calls and suffer for that, because it's like free, you know. That's why socialism don't work. It doesn't work. It never will work, you know.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Well, so what I was saying with the 4:30, waking up at 4:30, I will actually roll myself out of bed at 5 o'clock, knowing that Jason's already been up for 30 minutes.
That's hard.
All the good things.
That's awesome.
How can listeners get a hold of you guys?
Sure. YarusiHoldings.com is our website, or Jason@YarusiHoldings.com, Pili@YarusiHoldings.com, or find a podcast, the Real Estate Foundation podcast.
That's great. I was thinking, to recap the show, I'm the one who always gravitates towards the business stuff. So I'd like to hear my wife's recap of this, because she's more of the emotional.
I love how you the two of you are on this journey together and you're enjoying it. Because a lot of times we focus on the goal and we forget about the journey. And that's the exciting part. And those are the memories. And our kids are there as well. So it's so important for them to see us enjoy each day with each other. The two of you are a beautiful couple. And I just want to thank you for being a good example for all of us. Anything else?
That's all. Just want to thank you guys for being on. I don't know if I heard the baby back in the background a little bit there. So I'm saying,
awesome.
Make it happen. They have a babysitter. They got on and they scheduled this thing through. So if anybody has any excuses, just listen to this again. And there's a lot of pain to go through, and there's a lot of planning to go through. And if they can make it happen, anybody can make it happen. So just want to thank you guys for being on, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Great seeing you guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks.